Hi, I'm Andrew Berry and welcome to At the Bench, and welcome to a tools and a tools modification film. Well, I have some projects planned for At the Bench that requires a particular technique, and I'm not letting on too much here. And to do that particular technique, I need a particular type of tool. Now, when I was in university many years ago, I had a lecturer by the name of Harry Marland, a wonderful, wonderful chap. And he was making a box, a silver box. And instead of making the box in separate parts, he just made it from one sheet that was going to be the bottom. And he scored the silver that enabled him then to bend nice sharp corners. Now, I haven't done anything like this in 20 odd years, and so today I rang around a few of my tool suppliers to get a tool, a scoring tool. And one supplier said, "Funny you should mention that, Andrew. We've got asked lots of times for a scoring tool." "Great," I said. "Do you have one?" He went, "No, we don't stock them. We don't have them." Okay, so I rang up somebody else and they didn't have a scoring tool either. Now, I know what a scoring tool looks like. I've seen them and I've seen them in the books, but I've never seen them in the tool catalogues. And to be honest, this may sound rather strange, but sometimes I'm quite lazy. You ask the wife, I'm always lazy. So I would be quite happy to pick up the phone to give a tool supplier a ring and say, "Can you send me so and so and so and so? I'll have it tomorrow morning," and I can crack on with the particular job. Well, I couldn't do that in this case because I found out that I actually had to make a scoring tool. Well, I know what a scoring tool looks like, but to be honest, I was that lazy and I couldn't be bothered. That's why I wanted to buy one. But then I found I couldn't buy one, so I've got to make one. So I know there's a page, I think, in Tim McCreath's book. I think it's one of his books on making boxes, lockets, something like that. And he shows you how to make a scoring tool. And to be honest, it was far easier than what I imagined. It literally only took me 10 minutes. And I hadn't actually thought about using an old file. Now, over the years, I've gone through lots of files, lots of ring files, and they're nice and smooth now because they've been used and abused. And I never throw them out. I always put them in my drawer, one of the bottom drawers that very rarely gets opened up. And I thought, what a jolly good idea. Make it out of a file. And I thought, I'm going to have a go. And again, yep, it only took me about 10 minutes. So I'm going to show you how to make a scoring tool. It enables you to score silver, to score copper, to make sure that you get a nice sharp crease, a nice sharp bend in it. I have done other films on At the Bench where I've simply got a scribe and scribed a line, and then I've got my saw blade and I've cut down that line, and then I've got a file and I've filed the groove. And whilst that is okay, I wanted a tool to do it. And now I'm going to show you how to do it. I've made one already, and you don't actually use this main part of the file. You actually use the tang, this part here. And to be honest, I made this 10 minutes and it does exactly what I wanted it to do. But I was too lazy to make one originally. That's why I was going to buy one. But anyway, so let's show you how to make a scoring tool. So I've got an old ring file, as I said, is very, very smooth. And I'm sure if you've been making jewellery for a couple of years now that you've got an old file, or you've got friends who have got old files, or you can go and buy a really cheap file from a local DIY store or Poundland, Hypervalue, whatever you want to call them. And you obviously heat up this part of the tang to put the handle onto it. Well, by doing that, you're effectively making this part of the tang nice and soft. This part is hardened, but by heating this up, it loses some of the hardness when you put the handle on. The handle burns, it makes a nice tight fit. Well, this now is nice and soft. So this is a perfect shape that we can use to make our scoring tool. So let me show you what we're going to do. I've made this particular scoring tool here. That is what I'm going to use on the next project that I've got planned on At the Bench. But I'm going to make another one. This will score at quite a wide angle because I want to bend my piece of silver greater than 90 degrees. I want to bend it right over, virtually all the way on itself. So the angle that's scoring is quite a wide groove. If you just want to bend silver and fold silver or copper at 90 degrees, well then you will make the end of the tang here at exactly 90 degrees. And by scoring 90 degrees, the metal will bend at 90 degrees. Simple as that. Anyway, so here's our ring file, an old ring file. I will measure down. You don't really have to measure. We're only going to be looking at, if I can find my scribe. Right. We're only going to be looking down roughly round about 1/2 inch, 18 mil, as far as there. And then we're simply going to get a pair of parallels. If you've got a vise, you can put the end in a vise, 18 mil down, get your parallels and just simply bend. Now, because this area here is nice and soft, you should be able to bend it with your parallels. And bend it to, I'd bend it to 90 degrees. So we've got that. Okay, so the idea is we hold on to this part of the file and we pull this along and we will pull that along the silver. So this end of the tang here is going to be our cutting edge. This is the one I did a little earlier. I've made it a little bit shorter, but the angle that I've got on here is quite a greater angle. I would have thought this is around about 120 degree angle. As you can see, it's very shallow. I'm going to make this one into a 90 degree on the tip there. And as you can see on this one here, you can see that this angle at the back here is going up and away. That gives me a nice cutting edge, as you can see on that. And that will be pulled along and that will cut and score the silver. So we have to make sure that this angle is coming away as we have there. And that's it, that roughly around 120 degrees, but I'm going to make the next one in a 90 degree. As the files are nice and soft, I can simply get another old file and come along and file a 45 degree angle on each side and make a nice 90 degree angle. This angle here would be the angle of the scored line. You want to bend your piece of silver at 90 degrees. You will make this angle 90 degrees. You want to score it less than 90 degrees. You'll file it at less than 90 degrees. As I said, this is an old file that I really don't use anymore. Again, this is one of the files that I relegated to the drawer. Right, so I've got my 90 degree, as you can see there, on that end. This edge here, the inside edge, is my scoring edge. So I've really got to file backwards a little bit off here, just so I can ensure a nice cutting edge. This metal is nice and soft because it has been softened, it's had its temper taken off it. Okay, so that's looking good. Let me just show you. Okay, so the faces are coming back. This edge here is my cutting edge. Go into focus, there we go. So it's got a slight, a slight slope away, and that is the angle that I'm going to be scoring. Now the problem that I've got a nice sharp edge on this, but the problem is, as you've seen, the metal is so soft, I filed it, it's not going to have any temper, it's going to go rather blunt. So what we've got to do is heat this up to a bright red, bright cherry red, and quench it in some water. So there's my water, and we're going to heat this up. I'm holding on to the hand, or no, holding on to the main part of the file here, because I know the heat is not going to travel all the way. It's just that tip we want glowing red, as you can see there, glowing nice and red. And once it is glowing nice and red, straight the way into the water. Now that's hardened the metal, that's hardened it, and it's actually too brittle now, this area down here. So what we need to do next is to get a buff stick and clean this. Okay. Clean it back to a nice shiny metal. And this is going to help us gauge the temperature of the metal to allow us now to temper it so we can cut and we can put a nice sharp edge onto it. So again, heat it once more, but this time we're going to heat further down the tang by here. And we're going to watch the colour of the metal. And as soon as the tip reaches a straw colour, a medium to dark straw colour, we'll plunge it straight away into the water. Couldn't really see it too well under these lights because the lights are quite bright. So now we've turned this now into a nice, correct, tempered piece of steel. Two ways we can do it now. We can get this nice sharp edge back onto the scorer. We can either use a buff stick to buff these faces, or we can use a sharpening stone. So getting the face that we have filed on completely flat onto the sharpening stone. We can go over and likewise on the other face. And we shall do this until both faces here are nice and shiny. And the angle between them is at 90 degrees. If you don't have a sharpening stone, well then you can do exactly the same with a nice flat piece of emery paper on your bench. But the important part is to make sure that this face that you're going to be pulling along the silver or the copper is going to be nice and sharp. And if you don't even have a sharpening stone, you can use one of these wheels that go on the end of a Dremel or a polishing motor, pendant motor, and you can come along and put on your face, nice sharp cutting face. And this will be good enough as well then to ensure a nice sharp cutting face. So there's our nice sharp scoring tool. Now we can try it out. I've got a piece of copper here that we're just going to try out. I've got a bit of copper here. You run the scorer along the edge of a ruler to start off with. Once you've done that then a couple of times, you can then do without the ruler. I'm going to stand up for this, move my chair out the way, and come along and just keep on scoring. If you want a nice, deep, sharp crease when you fold your metal, keep on scoring until the line just appears on the other side. The best way to score, really, I'm not on about impressing the girls, is to have a scrap piece of wood, piece of plywood, piece of chipboard, put a couple of nails into it so the metal comes and rests against the nails, and then you can really pull the scoring tool really nice and hard, and it doesn't matter then if the tool digs into the wood, it's only a scrap piece of wood. So then you would carry on doing this until you see a line, a faint line appearing on the other side of the metal. Then you know then the score is going to be deep enough for you to bend it to get that really nice, tight, sharp, accurate crease. So I saved myself a couple of £2 by not having to buy one, and I didn't have to wait until tomorrow to have it delivered, but I couldn't because they don't make one. But I made myself one in about 10-15 minutes, and it does the job that I wanted to do, which now enables me to do my next project for At the Bench. So that's how to make your own scoring tool. If you wanted to, you can always wrap some crocodile skin, alligator skin, I haven't got it with me, the green around it. You can use some jet set, you can use some of the GRS grey plastic, the name escapes me, can't remember. Anyway, that's the stuff that you put in hot water and to mould around it. That would be a good idea. Easier hold firm grip onto the scoring tool. So, that's my tool for my next project, all sorted. I'm Andrew Berry for At the Bench. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.